Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia, home of the melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another update to my Lunalight deck. Now before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that this variant of Lunalights is a pure variant. That means this is basically just meant for casual play and has no standings whatsoever in the competitive scene. However, if you do want to play a competitive version of Lunalights, I have an updated Dark Lunalight build that'll be coming out this week, so make sure you tune in for that. And with that being said, guys, let's just jump right into this. So starting off, of course, we are going to be playing our low-level Lunalight monsters. We're playing one copy of Lunalight White Rabbit. Now, White Rabbit's in this deck because of her revival effect. When she is normal summon, you can bring back a Lunalight monster from your graveyard, and their effects are not negated, which is actually really key. Unlike Lunalight Tiger, which negates effects, White Rabbit does allow Lunalight monsters that are summoned back to utilize everything that's available to them in their effects. Kaleido Chick is the name of the card that it sends. Emerald Bird can still trigger and allow you to discard and draw, and all those shenanigans. So White Rabbit is here at 1 because of the fact that you don't want to see her in your opening hand, but you do want to see her mid to late game, and she's also very highly searchable in this build. Alright, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and play 3 copies of Lunalight Black Sheep, the bread and butter of the fusion-oriented deck. Now, Black Sheep is really good because of the fact that she can search Polymerization, which is your main fusion spell in the deck, and the fact that she can help you recover resources, which is an invaluable effect that allows you to generate advantage while you're fusion climbing into your higher level fusion monsters. Okay, so moving on, we also have 1 copy of Lunalight Purple Butterfly, 1 copy of Lunalight Blue Cat, and 1 copy of Lunalight Crimson Fox. Now, the reason why Purple Butterfly is here is because she allows you to tutor out Lunalight monsters from your hand, and because we're playing a pure variant of this deck here, Purple Butterfly has a lot of targets because we're playing a lot of main deck monsters that are Lunalights. So with the high monster count and only 1 normal summon available to us per turn, Purple Butterfly can help us tutor out things that would otherwise normally be stuck in our hand. So that's a really valuable effect that she has. Blue Cat's here at 1 because of her effect to boost the attack of our fusion monsters. We just want to go for the OTK. In a pure build, you really can't afford to grind. It's either, OTK or bust, really. So Blue Cat's here for that reason. And Crimson Fox is here because of her effect to help us protect us from targeting. Now, Crimson Fox, it can now be recycled because of the effect of Emerald Bird, where if she's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your banish pile or from your graveyard back to your side of the field. So 1 copy is definitely more than enough, and you definitely won't need more than this. Alright, so that's it for these Lunalight monsters here. Next up, we're going to go into the other level 4s that have really potent effects for this deck. So starting off, we of course have the complement to Black Sheep. We have 3 copies of Lunalight Kaleido Chick. Now, Kaleido Chick is still the main monster in the deck that you need to set up all your plays. Being able to send anything from the deck to the graveyard while dodging Ash Blossom, because Kaleido Chick sends as a cost, not as an effect, is huge. Kaleido Chick with Lunalight Tiger is probably one of the best setups that you can get for your opening turn if you can't open with a fusion play. So 3 copies of Kaleido Chick is definitely very strong. Now, next off, we have the second best normal summon in the deck, in my opinion, which is going to be 2 copies of Lunalight Emerald Bird. Now, she kind of rivals White Rabbit, although Emerald Bird does have more utility when you're going for your first turn. So that's why I have 2 copies of Emerald Bird and only 1 copy of White Rabbit. Now, Emerald Bird, if you normal special summon her, you can discard a Lunalight card from your hand, except Perfume, because Perfume's not a Lunalight card, it's a Lunalight card, and you can go ahead and draw a card. This is very important because the fact that you can help set up your graveyard if you do not have Kaleido Chicks, and it also helps you dig through your deck for more options while setting up your graveyard. Now, keep in mind that Lunalights also have a lot of effects in the graveyard, whereas Kaleido Chick, if she's sent by a card effect, or if Lunalight Yellow Martin right here, 2 copies of this, is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, which Emerald Bird's effect does count, you can get additional effects. Kaleido Chick can recover polymerizations. Yellow Martin can go ahead and search for a Lunalight spell or trap card. These are definitely effects that are really important in order to help you generate advantage throughout the duel and to potentially get more pieces for you to go ahead and get that extra fusion summon in to push for game. So Emerald Bird at 2 is really important here. Now 2 copies of Yellow Martin is here, I think is pretty staple. You don't really want 3 because it's so easy to to get into the graveyard with the help of Emerald Bird and things like Kaleido Chick, of course. And of course, she can be recycled from the banish pile with Emerald Bird's effect as well. Now, 2 copies of Yellow Martin is really important here because, not because of a searching effect, or searching effect almost never comes up, which is why I don't like Lunalight Fusion as a card, but Yellow Martin being a in archetype Zephyros, being able to bounce your Lunalight Tiger from your scale back to your hand and special summon her out, as well as go ahead and scale your Tiger again and go for some more special summons, is absolutely huge. Yellow Martin is one of the key pieces in the deck that you really need in order to help you facilitate your OTKs. Alright, so that's going to be it for those main deck monsters. Next off, we have our Pendulums. So starting off, we're playing 3 copies of Lunalight Tiger. Still, in my opinion, the best card in the deck, hands down. Yellow Martin is not as good without Tiger, and Tiger is just the most important piece here. We're also playing 1 copy of Lunalight Wolf as well. Now, Tiger has the effect where you can just scale her and special summon back a Lunalight monster from your graveyard. Its effects are negated, but this is not once per turn, so that means if, well, it is once per turn, but it's not hard once per turn. So if Martin bounces the Tiger back to your hand, you can rescale it and then go ahead and revive something else from your graveyard as well. And if your opponent ends up Ghost Ogreing or tries to destroy this card, it has a really redundant effect, which is why it's a really nice safety net for your plays. You can just special summon a Lunalight monster back from your graveyard anyway, so this card is absolutely huge. Now next off, we have 1 copy of Lunalight Wolf, and you only really need 1 copy. There's never a reason to get more than 1, especially because now we have Lunalight Fusion, although in my opinion Wolf is still better. But Wolf is here, it's highly searchable, and you can always send it to the graveyard with something like Kaleido Chick and then add it back to your hand with something like Black Sheep. So it's really easy to access this card. You never need more than 1 of this. If you're playing more than 1, you're probably opening up with it, and it's really, really clunky, and you never want to see it in your hand. So yeah, those are the Pendulum monsters that we play. And next off, we have our hand traps. So in this deck, you're obviously going to be going second because you want to OTK your opponent as soon as possible. So obviously you can't get your battle phase on your first turn. So by going second, you do need some form of protection, and it really depends on what you're going up against. Now, because this is a casual deck, I opted to go for 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as shown by these proxies. Now I put these proxies here because you can really customize your hand traps here. You can play 3 Effect Veilers, 3 Ghost Ogres, you can even play Droll Lockbirds if you really want to, if you're against decks that really heavily utilize searching effects. But Ash Blossom is a really catch-all type of hand trap, and I really do like it, especially in a casual setting. It hits a lot of decks that don't necessarily have super consistent opening hands, but you know, if they do have 1 or 2 search cards or a draw card available to them and you can hit that, it really slows them down to the point where hopefully you can utilize that to your advantage and OTK them on your turn. So yeah, 3 copies of Ash Blossom is my recommendation here, but again, you're open to play anything that you want. Alright guys, so that does it for the monsters. Next off, we're going to go into the spell cards. So for our spell cards, of course, we're starting off with 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. Tenki is like the Rota for the deck, allowing you to search out any Lunalight monster that you want. It's also really good for just, even if you have all your pieces, to search out an extra copy of Tiger or Black Sheep for some extra searches of Polymerization or some extra recovery plays, so it's really nice in that regard. Next off, we're playing 2 copies of Polymerization and then 1 copy of Fusion Substitute. Fusion Substitute counts as a Polymerization, so you can't play more than 3 of between these 2 cards. But the reason I play Fusion Substitute is because it's really nice to be able to recycle some of your fusion monsters and get that extra draw. Most of the times that you're fusion summoning, you're going to have enough things on your side of the field that you could utilize a Fusion Substitute. So it's not that condition where you can only fuse from the field doesn't really come into play that often. It doesn't really hinder you that often because we have Martin that comes back onto the field. We have Kaleido Chicks that are normally normal summoned. White Rabbit brings something back from the graveyard. You have Emerald Bird special summoning things from the graveyard or from your banish pile. So you're going to have enough field presence that you can utilize this very consistently in this build. You could play 3 polymerizations, but again, I'm a huge fan of a 2-to-1 ratio here. Okay, so next off we're playing, of course, you have to be playing this card, 3 copies of Lunalight Perfume. It's a monster reborn that is also a Tenki for Lunalights in general. And this card is not once per turn, it is absolutely busted. Now this card is not worth playing Foolish Burial Goods for in a pure variant because of the fact that the pure variant doesn't generate enough advantage to sustain itself with that -1. However, Perfume is really good to draw into. Unfortunately, it's not searchable by Martin, but it's kind of understandable why. This card is really good for utilizing power plays in this deck. So yeah, 3 copies of that is definitely necessary. Alright, so that's it for this batch of spells. Next off, we're going to a lot of the quick plays. So for the quick play spells, we're playing 3 copies of No, You Can't Hand Trap Me and Stop the OTK, 3 copies of Call by the Grave. Now this card, of course, is to stop your opponent's hand traps from impacting your turn. You really just don't care about what your opponent does on their first turn unless they're locking you out of the duel, but in a casual setting that doesn't happen too often. This card just says no to Ash Blossom, no to Droll, no to Ghost Ogres that can potentially stop your Tigers, anything to help protect your plays and make sure that you can ensure the OTK is all you need. Next off, we're going for 3 copies of Twin Twisters. This used to be Pot of Desires, but I opted to go for 3 copies of Twin Twisters instead because of the rise of a lot of back row heavy decks or decks that try to stun you with floodgates and such. So Twin Twisters at 3 is really good to draw into, especially if you're going second. You have 6 cards in your opening hand. You can afford to pitch a card and then pop 2 back row and then pop off, especially because Lunalights now have so many different effects that help you generate advantage. It doesn't matter if something's in your graveyard, it actually is beneficial so that it immediately makes your Perfumes or your Tigers live and all that good stuff without having to use your normal summon. So 3 copies of Twin Twisters is really good here. Next off, we're playing 1 copy of Lunalight Fusion. I'm just proxying this because apparently people bought out that card and hyped for Lunalights, but Lunalight Fusion is probably one of the worst new support cards that the archetype has gotten, and it is absolutely terrible. The only reason it's here is because Yellow Martin doesn't always want to search Serenade Dance in a pure build, so going for the search for Lunalight Fusion could be decent, but it's not, again, it's not something that's required. You can replace this with anything else and the deck would not change. Next off, we're playing 1 copy of Monster Reborn and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Monster Reborn is just like another Perfume, helps you set up that field presence, helps you set up for some extra plays. You can even revive some of your fusion monsters with it, which is pretty nice. And of course, Foolish Burial right here to help you trigger the effects of your Lunalight monsters. Things like Kaleido Chick, Emerald Bird, Yellow Martin, all of those cards have different effects in the graveyard, and it's really nice. And it also puts a body there so that you can use Perfume and Tiger and all those other revival spells, including Monster Reborn, to generate that field presence. So yeah, this is a very optimized build, I would say, with one thing in its mind, and it's just to OTK the opponent as soon as possible, because this deck really has a difficult time grinding out the opponent in a very long duel. Okay, and the last card that we are going to be playing in this lineup is a trap card, is 1 copy of Lunalight Serenade Dance. Now, Serenade Dance isn't the best card to have in the pure build, and you never really want to set this card to your side of the field unless you're bluffing against your opponent. But this card is really nice to be able to send to the graveyard with something like a Perfume. You can send this with your Emerald Bird as well, because it's a Lunalight card, to go for an extra draw. And what you do is you banish this from your graveyard to special summon, discard a card, and then you can special summon any Lunalight monster you want from your deck. So this allows you to actually tutor out something like your One of Blue Cat and all those other cards that you might need in terms of utility. So yeah, 1 copy of Serenade Dance is tested out pretty well, but again, you can cut this as well as your Lunalight Fusion for some other cards if you feel like it. Okay, so that's going to be it for the main deck. Next off, we're going to go into the extra deck. Alright guys, so for the extra deck, starting off we have some Link monsters right here. So 1 copy of Wee Witch's Apprentice to start things off. Because we're playing Lunalights, they're all dark, and the extra attack boost from Witch's Apprentice actually helps a lot in terms of pushing for the extra bit of damage, especially since it's really good because things like Panther Dancer can attack every monster your opponent controls twice each. That means for every monster that your opponent controls, Wee Witch's Apprentice adds 1,000 extra damage to that opponent, which is really, really nice. Next off, we're playing one copy of Firefighting Darumadal. Now, Darumadal is here as a way to kind of climb into something like Summon Sorceress if you really need to, because it's a Beast Warrior type monster, but it's also really nice because the fact that it can pop back row by popping one of your back rows as well. So remember when I said the Serenade Dance isn't really great to set? Well, one of the ways that you can actually get it to the graveyard if you don't have something to discard it with, like Twin Twisters or Perfume or whatever, is that you can set it to your side of the field and use Darumadal to pop your Serenade Dance and one of your opponent's back row, and then you can generate some advantage from there while also clearing out some potential threats. So Darumadal is actually really nice in this deck, and I really do, I like its utility. Okay, so next off we're playing some Nightmares, so one copy of Nightmare Phoenix, one copy of Nightmare Unicorn, pretty much staples in the extra deck right now. This is for popping extra back row, and Unicorn is of course for spinning back one of your opponent's cards that might be annoying or in the way. So yeah, that's going to be it for these Link monsters. Next off we have two more, and they're kind of one of them is a combo piece and the other is kind of like a utility to break your opponent's board with. So for the combo piece, we have one copy of Summon Sorceress. It's very easy for us to get 3 Lunalight monsters on the field, so you can go for the Summon Sorceress. If you summon a Lunalight to a zone that she points to, you can use her effect and summon out another one from your deck. So it just really helps you build up all of that advantage, toolboxing out whatever you need from the deck. You can summon out things like your Purple Butterfly, and when it's sent to the graveyard for a Link summon, you can go ahead and use the effect, banish it, summon something else from your hand. Emerald Bird can generate effects and all those types of things. Summon Sorceress is just really good for all of those plays. Next off, we're also playing one copy of Borreload Dragon, and Borreload is here over Boral Sword for one main reason, is that you're playing pure Lunalights, so you have access to Leo Dancer, you have access to all of these things like Panther Dancer as well, that can just smack down your opponent real quick. Borreload Dragon is really here to get rid of threats that you can't otherwise attack over, so maybe really big monsters, you can just go ahead and steal it with the Borreload. It also helps you decrease your opponent's monster's attack points, so it helps you, again, utilize more your Lunalight fusions to deal more damage. So Borreload is really great in that regard. But yeah, that's going to be it for all the Link monsters. Not a very Link-heavy build, because obviously we're going to be focusing on the fusions. But before we get to that, we have 2 XYZs that we're playing. So the first one that I'm playing is one copy of Evil Swarm Nightmare. I still really like this card in this deck. You can, of course, replace this with something like Baguska. Baguska is alright this format, because the fact that a lot of combo decks are utilizing main deck monsters and their effects on the field to go for extra searches, or for special summons, or for sending things from a deck to the graveyard. So Baguska is really good in that regard, but I still prefer Evil Swarm Nightmare, because if you put things face down, your opponent cannot use them as Link materials. So that's the reason why I prefer the Nightmare here. And then the last XYZ that I'm playing is one copy of Brotherhood the Firefist Tiger King. Now, Tiger King not only gets you to set the Tenki from your deck, you can also use it as material for something like Darumadal, which is really nice. But he also has the effect where you can detach a material from it and negate all monster effects on the field except for Beast Warrior type monsters. So this is a great way to turn off your opponent's floodgates. Really good for outing things like annoying archetypes like Thunder Dragons, which prevent you from searching with your Perfumes, your Tenkis, and all that. Tiger King's a great way to shut all those cards down, and then you can go for your plays there. So yeah, those are the only 2 XYZs that I play. They're really here for utility. Nightmare is like that first turn defensive play if you're ever forced to go first by your opponent. Alright, so next off, oh man, here we go. All the fusion cards in this deck. One copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, 2 copies of Lunalight Cat Dancer, 2 copies of Lunalight Panther Dancer, 1 copy of Lunalight Saber Dancer, my favorite Lunalight fusion right now, and 1 copy of Lunalight Leo Dancer. Now, Starving Venom is here because it can do the damage. It can smack down your opponent for a lot of damage for very little resources. You just need 2 dark monsters on your side of the field, and we've already established how easy it is to achieve that requirement. 2 copies of Cat Dancer are here as stepping stones to get into our Panther Dancer, and Panther Dancer's here as a stepping stone to get into Leo Dancer. Now, 2 copies of Cat Dancer are required because she's the most basic fusion, although I guess you could cut this down to 1 if you really wanted to go for, because your Saber Dancer's here as like a backup generic fusion monster. But I prefer having 2 copies here because the fact that I use Panther Dancer a lot more than Leo Dancer, that is, because Leo Dancer is not really that great, especially because we have Saber with Panther. So if you end up sending Saber Dancer to your graveyard with your Kaleido Chick, she has a graveyard effect where she can banish herself and target a fusion monster you control, and it gains 3,000 attack. So this card makes your Panther Dancer basically a much better Leo Dancer. As long as your opponent has any monster on their side of the field, you basically win the duel. It's like going up against the new train XYZ, the Super Dreadnought Cannon Libe, or whatever it was called. Panther Dancer just seals the deal in conjunction with your Saber Dancers. So these are my favorite fusion monsters to summon. Leo Dancer's here as like a fall back on emergency panic button with your Lunalight Wolf. Summon this out and just go for game. But yeah, otherwise, I really like the ratios of the extra deck. These fusion monsters really do come in handy. You always want to go second with this deck because you just want to OTK. And Panther Dancer and Leo Dancer get us there. So yeah, anyway guys, that's going to be it for the extra deck, and that's going to be it for the deck profile. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Lunalight content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.